Yeah. You guys ready to go?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So, welcome everyone. This is Deck Swabbers, episode number 1. We are just a bunch of dudes who play in the local San Diego scene. We play One Piece TCG. My name is Alexis, or TheRealPandaBear. Normally, these guys will refer to me as Panda. What is it? I like to play black, and my favorite color is green too, though. So I cry every time. Here with me, with my fellow hosts. How about we have Aaron go first here?
What's up, guys? I'm Aaron, aka Hikari. I am quite possibly the best Perona player, but only because I call her Goth Mommy, and you guys are too weak to admit it. So I
That's
definitely
actually
it's crazy work, isn't it? But I I also enjoy playing so a little bit of red, turning off the brain, and keyword rush is good for the soul, as they say.
I agree.
that. That's actually funny.
All right, let's have you, Mark. What's up?
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm a gooner. No, scratch that. I'm a fake gooner. Anyway, I go by the HomoSapienPirate. That'll probably be a whole episode in itself if we have to explain why I'm called a Homo sapien.
The
I
Homo sapien
primarily
The Homo
pirata.
sapien.
pirat, but I primarily play best in deck slave, meta slave. So if I have the money, I'll play the deck. And so I guess you could say I'm a green player at heart.
Yeah. And last but
Okay,
not
excellent.
least.
All right, so what's up? My name is Richard. I go by RichyBW or
Stands
Richardo
for big wiener.
Galapagos in our in our local Discord. Uh, I just kind of play whatever I want to play. I do tend to play meta decks, but at the same time, if I don't find them fun, I'll probably just play something else. I'm a big person of oh damn, it's 1 week until regionals. Let me pick a different deck really quick.
And
The last minute pariah.
yeah.
Yeah, last minute pariah for real. Yeah, I do really pick decks last minute. I think last regionals that I went to, which was the LA regionals, I literally did not know what I wanted to play, and then I put four Brooks into I put four Brooks into a Sakazuki deck, and then called it a deck, and then I played, and I think I went like 7-3 or something like
Yeah.
that. I was just like, all right, sure. I guess that's what we do. We just put cards into decks and say, all right, this seems good enough, and we're gonna play test exactly one time before the regional, and then say this is cooking.
Yeah. Dude, no, yeah, that's actually what I wanted to talk about first here, right? Because we're gonna timestamp this. This is August 6th, right? We are a few days away from the Pasadena regional, for One
That
Piece
is
here.
true.
Yeah, and so I want to talk about what are who of us here are competing first of all, and then what are our thoughts? How have we been preparing, right? What do you guys expect? And then like if anyone is also going into it, right, maybe it's their first time, how do you mentally prepare, right? Like what should they expect?
So, I'm competing this weekend. I think this format has been kind of a struggle for me because like it's like last format I played like a good amount of Sakazuki. I'm like to be quite frank with everybody, I'm not the biggest fan of black. I specifically played Sakazuki because uh the deck was good, but also I was good at the deck in my opinion. I think I was pretty damn good at piloting that deck, and I won some stuff. I won some prizing locally with it, like somewhat consistently. So I
Mm-hmm.
just said, you know what, let's play this deck. But now this format has really been the me kind of jumping back and forth between, I guess, too many different decks.
Uh-huh.
And I have played a decent amount of Bonnie, and I am guaranteed playing that this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gone through a lot of weeks where I feel like I just make too many misplays with the deck. It's a deck that I feel like requires you to play on point like the whole match. because I feel like in my opinion, if you make like one or two misplays with Bonnie, like your whole game just like crumbles.
Oh yeah, for
It
sure.
it, it
It's
feels a
Jover.
It's
it
Jobber.
feels a,
It's
it feels a
Jover.
little rough sometimes that like you're playing this deck, and you make like one misplay and you lose it feels like you lose the entire game for it
Mm-hmm.
at least.
Yep.
But and then you see other people playing decks and they make like multiple misplays, but the deck that they're playing is so inherently strong that it just doesn't even matter.
No, dude, like we've placed it with each other before, and it, like, cause I'm playing Rob Lucci for the regionals,
Yeah.
right? And I've had the opposite issue of you, or it's not an issue at all. I've played only one deck this format, right? And it's only been Rob Lucci,
Mhm.
because
He's a committed man.
I'm committed. Yeah,
He's committed.
I'm
He loves the
committed to the deck.
Jaguar.
I'm committed to the bit of the toolbox, right?
He does have the toolbox.
Bro pulls up to locals and says, "Time to go to work, Luchi.
Yeah.
Time to clock in."
I'm
No,
the
dude.
clock in, man.
And it's like, like with our playtesting, right? Sometimes you're like putting down all these big bodies, and then it's like, well, if only you put these other certain big bodies, I'll punish you for it. Actually, it's like,
Yeah.
if it seems unwinnable for you at some points, it's just like unfortunate. But
Yeah.
this format in itself has just been it's such a rock paper scissors format, right? Because you have Rob Lucci that can beat a lot of like rogue decks as well, and it can go toe to toe against Red Purple Law, but it struggles so much against Black Yellow Luffy. But then you have
Oh
Black
yeah.
Yellow Luffy, right, that beats Rob Lucci, but it doesn't do great against Red Purple Law, and it does great against other inexperienced players who don't know how to play against the deck too. So, and then Red Purple Law is just really good in general. But if Rob Lucci puts down like 8-drop Sabo on the field and takes out 2 bodies, 3 bodies in a turn, it's just like, oh, it's really rough for them, right? So
Yeah.
it's a very interesting format that we're in compared to other formats, I'd say.
So I'd like to say that I think that this has been like probably one of the most diverse metas that we've seen. I mean, just last
Oh yeah.
weekend we had 5 out of 8 top 8s were Namis, like at Gen Con,
So
I believe.
yeah, so I actually want to talk about some of the tops that happened from this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I was last format. Last format, I actually didn't play a ton of Sakazuki. I played. I was playing a ton of Reiju in the beginning of the format.
Yeah.
I played a ton of Reiju in the beginning of the format, and man, did I love that deck. But then, as soon as Premium Booster 01 came out, my local meta specifically changed because, unfortunately, I work at a card store, and the card store closes at 8, so I can't make it to most local tournaments. I can only really make it to the tournament that my store that I work at runs on the days that I'm off.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it just so happened that almost every single person in my local meta was playing Red Purple Law when Premium Booster 01 came out, and at that time, Reiju did not have the tools to fight against that deck. If you played against that deck, it was almost like an auto loss. If you didn't, you basically had to feel like you needed a miracle in order to win that matchup.
Yeah.
It was
100%.
very bad. Like I want to talk about that because I noticed that this weekend at I forget what regional it was, but it was one of the bigger regionals this weekend with like over 1,000 players.
Reiju top.
Yeah,
Top 32.
there was
Yep.
two Reijus in top 32. There was 2 Reijus in top 32 in a tournament with over 1,000 players, and there was only 58 Reiju players total out of all the
Damn.
decks. That is an insane ratio because if you think about it, there was, I think on there on the Eggman events thing, let me actually pull it up really quick. I think it says like in total there was like over 200 Luchis, or not Luchis, what is it?
Lost?
Enel.
Oh, Annals, yeah.
There was over 200 Enels, but Enel I think only got 2 tops as well, and Reiju also got 2 tops. Yeah, Enel had 147 decks. Reiju had 21 decks,
Damn.
and they both had the same amount of top 32s.
It's like
That's crazy.
that is crazy, and it's also cool because, like Aaron said earlier, like it's a very diverse format, and I like to think that any deck within reasonable capacity can top it, can like go up against all these other decks, because you know there's like red yellow Sabo that can catch someone off guard. It's like, oh shit, I didn't expect this, right? Or
100%.
you know, you have blue Doffy, or what is it, Boa Hancock, that can also go toe to toe with some other decks too. It's really cool to witness like such a diverse meta, and I really want to like revel in this meta for like longer than usual, because it's fun to me. It's so, you know,
I want to continue down this path of this very like diverse meta, but man, I am scared of OPO8 Law.
oh
That
yeah,
that deck just
sound
seems
bad.
that
okay.
deck just seems so extremely powerful.
that
It's
yeah, that
I
brings
don't
me
know.
up
The
to
next topic.
yeah, another topic, because you know we're talking about regionals, and at the same time that we have our regionals, right, the ban list is going to go up for the East, right? So
Yeah, like
is
the
it this
day
weekend?
after.
yeah,
Yeah,
Banlist
August 12th.
talk.
August 12th, yeah.
August 12th. Oh wow, it literally happens like right
2 days
after.
after. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, wow.
That's
So
only for
And
Japan, right?
typically,
yeah, only
Yes.
for Japan, but you can assume that it's probably going to happen for the US as well, for the West,
for the
Yeah.
US as well. Yeah.
because like I don't think there's no separate ban list right now.
Yeah,
for
no,
Japan.
we follow suit with the ban
Yeah, we
list.
follow suit.
Yeah, not at the current moment. Yeah, we've been following suit now. You know, we had that hiccup with the red stuff, but
Yeah, that's because
We
we
don't
were
talk
obsessed
about
with
that.
fucking.
we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
There was no Warren bossing say, you know.
Yeah.
Man.
But real quick, back to the regionals, just because I think it's a pretty important topic when trying to mentally like prepare for it. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people underestimate just how long 10 rounds is.
Oh my
You
god.
know?
Oh my god.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
10 rounds into
Oh, yeah.
OT. Oh my
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, I want
I
to
think-
strongly emphasize that, like, if you go to your first regional, you should stick it out. Like, no matter what. Like, no matter how, like, badly you think you're doing, just stick it out. And honestly, you'll probably end up 50-50 for your first, like, major event, first of all, which is really good. Two, and you'll develop, like, that endurance. Because, like, every time I've gone to a major tournament and I've actually participated in the main event, I have dropped after like 5 rounds, partly because I'm exhausted, and the other part because like I genuinely don't have the ability to like go 10 rounds. Like I'm like, well, I'm X3, might as well drop it, because like if I play out these next 5 rounds, I'm cooked. I'm cooked, and it'll be for what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's like a very defeatist mentality, you know? Like after you
Can be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't call it defeatist if you're actually dying.
True.
Gone to,
Okay.
It's not really defeatist if you're literally turning into a ghoul mid-turn.
This is true. This is
Yeah.
also true. But that's why I'm saying is that if it's your first one, stick it out, so then that way you know your limit. Where you're like, yeah, I know for me personally, if I stuck this out, it would do nothing for me. I would learn nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Ultimately going back to that, like, geez, get enough sleep.
Oh my god.
yeah.
Dude,
Let's
that
not be goobers and just lab for 10 hours straight and just be like, we're so ready, and just not be able to have the mental fortitude or health check to be able to go through the said 10 rounds.
Well-
Like, have
well,
a
let's-
proper breakfast.
that reminds me of
let's talk about that real quick.
dude, Nats. Holy shit.
Dude,
Dude, no, it just
yeah.
it was bad.
Okay,
Yeah,
we
Nats was
all have horror stories about like
Nats.
being underprepared, but like mentally for what it like you're going to face when you enter regionals. Sometimes, please, Panda, please take it
No,
away, starting
I-
from regionals.
Yeah, well, my
Or
first
nationals.
regionals was an online regional, right? The first time I ever
Uh-huh.
went 9 rounds in a row, and I thought like, oh, bro, it's gonna be like locals. We're gonna play a few rounds. It's gonna be cool. Oh my god, I was like waking up at 8 a.m. or something like that, and then fucking like at the end of the day, it's like 6 p.m. or like 5, right? I'm like, it smells like gamer in my room, dude. I'm like, I get
Smells
up
like
from my
shit.
chair, my knees are fucking creaking and shit. And I'm like, dude, I remember the first thing I did on my first online regional, I like went outside and deliberately went out and touched grass. I was like, that, like, holy shit, I'm so glad it's fucking done, dude. But no, like the actual terrible experience, like that first online regionals was, overall pretty good. Like it prepared me for what actual regionals are about. But
Yeah.
Nats, oh no, dude, I was
No one could prepare anyone for
no
what
one could
happened at
prepare
Nats.
anyone for Nats. But I feel
Nah,
like
Nats was unpreparable.
yeah, no, it's Nats was an experience because, well, one, I was sleep deprived. I think I only slept like 3 hours because I was one,
Oh
like,
yeah,
excited, right?
I remember when day two you went to go sleep in the car and you
Yeah,
missed, and you unfortunately
I
missed,
missed a whole concert.
yeah, you missed the entire concert, and I felt so bad, but I didn't want to like wake
Wake
you
me
up.
up from my
I didn't want to wake
slumber.
you up, from your slumber. You really needed that sleep. No, you
Dude,
needed it.
no, it
You
was,
you were like super beat up. Like it the day one was like one of the most like exhausting things ever. It was horrible,
yeah,
man.
no,
It was terrible.
it was terrible because, like, yeah, I was sleep deprived, and then it took so long to start, right? But I honestly I feel more bad about the later games, right? Because
Yeah.
that's when, like, I started to just, like, lose my mind. Like, literally,
Yeah.
I started to think out loud. Like, in the early turns, I started to, like, just be very, like, open book about
I
my strategies against my opponent. 'Cause I was playing Enel for Nats, right? And it's like, no matter what I do, like, hey, the triggers are what's gonna matter here, right? I remember, like, one time playing against an opponent, and it ended on my turn 4 because, well, turn 1 I had a Shura. I search. I'm like, all right, let's look for something. I got nothing. Gonna fucking shoot myself. All right, go ahead. Your turn. Like, yeah. I was being very BM, and for no good
yeah.
reason. But I was literally losing my mind. It's just to try and stay up, right? But
Yeah.
it
I
was like,
remember I remember you telling me about that you were just like saying things out loud and popping off and like saying whatever and then like being like trigger, like just
uh-huh,
being like hella
the most
obnoxious.
obnoxious
And
yellow player in the whole venue.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, you were telling me that you were like being the most obnoxious yellow player, and I was like, man, your opponent probably like felt so bad after all that nonsense. Uh but like, what could you do, right?
no,
No,
yeah.
nothing could have prepared us for how insanely ridiculous Nats was.
Hmm.
Yeah, Nats was like one of the craziest experiences ever, and I'm still genuinely mad that they robbed us of that 11th round,
Hmm.
uh, because they decided to kick us out of the venue, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Nats was an experience for sure. I think that was my, what, how big was Nats? Like 2,000 something players or something
Something
like
like
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something like 2,000 something players. I we stuck it out through the entire event for the
Yeah.
most part. After 10 rounds of play, I think I went 7-3, and like I won extra prizing, which I was happy about, but man, I was disappointed that I didn't get to play one more game.
Hmm.
I knew like I couldn't have gotten like anything better than like top to whatever, but like it was still somewhat disappointing to not get to play that 11th game, even though I was like mentally like just so exhausted after playing
Exactly.
Sakazuki for 10 rounds in a
Dude,
row, and grueling through Sakazuki mirrors where like it's literally just like, all right,
Bottom deck,
all Rebecca
bottom deck.
bottom deck,
all
yeah.
Rebecca combo,
Bottom deck,
you Rebecca combo,
reduction
Rebecca
all
version.
Rebecca
Hinaluchi.
combo.
Rebecca Hinaluchi.
Yeah,
The cycle begins on you.
yeah,
Humblers,
yeah,
humblers, humblers.
basically.
No,
It
dude.
was it was exhausting. It was so exhausting doing all that stuff. And yeah, no, I don't blame anyone from that event from dropping out early strictly because they were just too mentally tired to deal with that.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
that.
I think that was one of the ones where like you couldn't have expected it to go that bad, because not only did we had gotten there from like 7 or 8 in the morning, because that's when they told us the tournament was going to start, and then it didn't even start until like what, like 3-4 hours later or something.
Exactly.
I think like
10
it was
a.m.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think like it started like 3 hours late, so we're already 3 hours. 3 hours would have been like the extra 3 rounds that we would have played already, and then we didn't get out of there until like what, 11 or something, like
11.
10, like 11 p.m. is when they finally said, we're so sorry, you're not going to get to play your 11th round. You need to get out of here right now. That was like the most ridiculous thing that ever happened, and I was just like, wow, that was crazy. But man, everyone was just so mentally exhausted. Like that's why I'm just like, man, to the people who played Nats that at that time and won or like got into day two, the people that made it to day two of American Nats, props to them, man,
Props
because
to them.
holy crap, they must have been the most mentally tired human beings of all time.
For sure.
And then they get back to their hotel at what, like 12:30, like 1 in the morning. You know, they probably haven't eaten anything because it was very hard to get a break in between. It was very hard to get a break in between everything. Unless you defeated your opponent like very quickly, you couldn't really get a break. So it was super, super rough. And I just think props to them for being able to get through all that and then make it to day two and then top. Just to top that event was insane.
Yeah. Nats is a very extreme case about like that's something that can go really wrong at a regional, right? That's out of your control. But you know, it's definitely. I feel like in any kind of regional or major tournament, it's just a matter of like, hey, do you have the mental fortitude to play that many games, right?
100%. And like this is not to deter anybody from trying to get into larger events. You know, they have figured it out for the most part.
Yeah, they have.
As far as I'm aware, people are saying that the events are running way smoother, and you know, it's definitely some of the most fun that they've had playing the game in general. So like, props to Bandai for getting it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going. You're going, Richard. Are you two going?
Yeah.
I am bouncing out of this regional. I'm not gonna lie, because I have so many bills I need to pay for. I am still currently paying for Anime Expo.
Oh shit.
But if like realistically, if I were to go, I would probably, because I'm not in the main, I would probably just be playing some goober like rogue deck because off my meta spiel. And I don't trust my mills enough on Gucci or like my nail triggers to be able to trust myself on being like, oh, I can win this side event. I would have played something like Rebecca because I've been labbing with Rebecca and I've been actually having kind of good success with it.
Cooking. He's cooking.
This Deck Swabbers all about, bro.
Swabbers, let me lick that deck.
Wait, hold on. What did he say?
Yeah, I wanted to ask for those. Well, I guess because Richard and I are going. You know, what do you think you're gonna place? What's your record? Do you think you're gonna have? How many rounds is it gonna be? 9 rounds, I think.
9 to 10. Probably 9 to 10.
First
It'll probably be
place.
9.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 9. I think. Actually, last regional was 10 rounds.
It was
right?
10 rounds, yeah. And because I got 5 and 5 of them in the last regional.
I would think if it's the same exact amount of players, it's probably going to be same thing, 10 rounds. You know what? I think I've been playing Bonnie enough, and I think if I playtest enough this week, I think I could be confident in saying that this could like. I have confidence in Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have confidence that it's like best deck in format? No. Do I have confidence that it is definitely one of the tier 1 decks of this format? I think so. I think it is one of the tier 1 decks of this format.
Yeah, for sure.
I think as long as I play on point this weekend and I get enough sleep and I eat before, and all that nonsense, I think if I play well enough, I can probably go. I want at least 8-2. I want at least 8-2.
I was gonna say 8-2. Yeah, no, that's like reasonable. Because I myself, I've been pouring so much energy and like deck building, theorizing on this Rob Lucci deck. My Rob Lucci deck is fucking insane. It's a fucking mess. It's a toolbox. But it's just like, dude, it's just so funny when your opponent. I go like, all right, rest 6 Dawn, summon Rob Lucci, put 2 CP in the bottom. He gets rush. They're like, wait, black has a rush option? Like, what you're gonna win the game now?
Watching their face contort as you pay 6 Dawn for Rush Raw Belushi must be like the greatest like feeling in the world, honestly.
Dude,
Like
it's so
I
empowering.
can't even imagine what it's like, honestly, because I used to. So this idea stems from the fact that I used to play OPO3 Raw Belushi. Shout out to my father for giving me the list. The Flying Sevens, it was
The
called. We
flying
called it
seven? No.
the flying knees and elbows were coming straight at you. 7 7 7 7 every turn. And Panda took that idea and he reimagined it, and he breathed new life into it. I would like to say with new OPO7 Lucci, and limited success. But I mean, when it wins games, it wins games.
Dude,
Am I
when it
right?
wins games,
Like,
it wins games.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I
nah,
get
you know,
you. I
I
get
was consistently going X and 1 for a lot of locals for like a couple of weeks or 2 to 3 weeks. I was going X and 1 or better, right? And
you.
that
Yeah.
really gave me like such a huge confidence boost. These last two locals that I did, it was like I went X and 2. That's because I did like some mistakes based on matchups that I wasn't too familiar with at the time. But like I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna make those mistakes again. I'm gonna practice it. I'm gonna make sure discipline myself right. Make sure I do well. Or maybe we'll come back next time and record and be like, yeah, I dropped out after X3.
It's those TikTok videos I constantly see. Hey, bro,
I'm
how are
gonna
you gonna do this regional? I'm gonna go
100% on the test.
undefeated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to the record.
they play like some sad song, and dude went
Yeah.
X3.
All right. No, yeah, that'll be cool. We'll see how we do.
we're rooting for you guys,
Yeah.
because I sure as hell ain't going to regionals either.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
I would go, but I gotta work. I need money.
I need to save some money, but I truly wish you guys the best at regionals, and I hope that there's no hiccups like at even in LA there was some hiccups. Like,
There were
I
a
don't know
couple
what was going
hiccups,
on
yeah.
with the power or the Wi-Fi, but that shit was cutting out like
Yeah, that's
crazy.
right.
It was causing
Yeah.
bad problems.
We'll see how it goes. Maybe one of us is focused on an Eggman decklist video. All right.
I hope so.
Here's
So-
to hoping,
Aiden,
man. Here's to
Here's to
Aiden, I'm
hoping.
calling you out. Put me in your video.
Put me in your video.
Please, bro. Please, bro. Please,
Please, please, you've known me since the Dragon Ball days. Please.
All right. So, ban list predictions. What do you think? What's gonna happen? Who's gonna get hit?
8 cost Moria.
ACOS Moria. I feel like
limit on ACOS Moria. Yep.
I feel
You know
like,
what? I think it has to be 8 cost Moria, and I only say this because Moria is a card.
Moria is a card.
It doesn't just have connotations like gameplay wise, it also has like negative connotations on the card design wise, because 8 cost Moria is a card that makes it so that from now on until the end of One Piece, until they decide to like make some sort of weird rotational format, when they're making cards, they have to think about four cost and below that 8 cost Moria could reliably revive, and think about not making them too broken. Because as soon as they make another 4-drop or another like 2-drop or lower that's just a little too strong or grants a little too much value, they realize, oh, I made a mistake of making this card that's easily abusable with this card again. And it's a card that limits design space, because now you have to design cards around that basically until the card is removed from the game.
I think
By some way, shape, or form.
yeah, the same can be applied with upcoming with OPO8. You have Black Maria, right? Which obviously it's not out in the West right now, but there's a conversation around the ban list and what it's going to be, that it's like either they're going to ban Black Maria, right, due to the fact that it's not leader locked and it can be abused by any purple coded leader, which currently being abused more by RP Law, and just make it so that the leader ability drawback is non-existent, right?
Yeah.
Which, you could argue the same thing with, structure deck Kaido. Because it's like, what is it, -6 or -7, and you like critical,
7.
you trash your opponent's life, and that kind of just cancels out with Black Maria. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, it's more abusable with RP Law, because then you just like burst bodies out very quickly.
So I've had a lot of discussions about like what what is fair, not necessarily like what will bring overall balance to the game, but like what will allow all of these card combinations and leaders to exist within the same format without being too oppressive.
Mhm.
And something that we like these discussions always comes back to is giving Black Maria an errata that says, if your leader is Animal Kingdom Pirates, you may activate this ability.
I think
I think
that's the more
I think giving it
realistic.
that errata would like balance it.
It really would.
Because I think Kaido deserves it. As strong as critting a life is, like minusing 7 Dawn is like, one, a huge commitment, but 2, your play is extremely telegraphed. Like when you're playing that deck, right? If your opponent has 1 life and you swing 12 at them, your opponent is just going to take that life because it's like, oh, this is just 1 card in my hand now, the extra card in my hand. And then now you can't even use leader abilities. So like the sequencing you have to do sometimes in order to get game properly even is tough anyway. So like, you know, I think Kaido deserves it. I also think King deserves that card because
exactly,
minusing 2 Dawn to reduce or draw is like the more balanced version of Sakazuki.
Let me
that
draw myself
should have been
back
printed.
a turn, you know? Like
like you shouldn't be punished for using your leader ability. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the design route that they want to go, is that when you activate your leader, I mean the only one that gets that treatment really is fucking Blue Croc, let's be honest, man. -4 Dawn to bounce a 5 or less. Lord help me, bro. Someone save this leader. He's so bad. But anyways,
hey, just
like,
make him blue purple.
Make him blue purple and let him cheat out a body. There is a Croc. Let him cheat out a body. But another errata that I could see help bringing balance to RP Law is actually forcing Law to have a target in order to cheat out a body. Like it doesn't make the cards it plays out less powerful, which I think is kind of like important. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people say that the main reason why Reiju or why people believe that Reiju and Black Maria and all these other cards are problems is because Law can just -3 Dawn to just play them anyways. You know what I mean? Like they don't necessarily have to give you the full value, but like just doing it and establishing board for Dawn that you could have already committed by playing out a different body is like a cheap ability, you know? So I can see that's viewpoint as well, but I think it's less likely just because then at that point you should just make a new leader, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
That's
Sakazuki. You should just make a new like entirely new leader and just reimagine it in a more balanced way than just like getting rid of it, you know.
How about this? Because you know they did remake Sakazuki.
Right.
It is. So here's the thing. It's a ban list update, right?
Yes.
So I feel like the chances of an errata, a specific errata, are low, right? Because when they do erratas, it's not like, oh, ban list update, we're errataing this card, right? No, it's
this leader is banned or this card is banned, and then here is new version.
Here's a playable version.
I feel like the most obvious thing that they might do is just to ban Law, right? To ban RP Law. And I feel like what they're going to do is make a new Law leader with the same effect, but you can summon Heart Pirates only.
So I think the only...
that would blow.
It would.
That would actually suck.
I think my counter to that thought process is that I don't believe they'd ban the RP Law leader only because it invalidates it invalidates a piece of an entire product. Because now that the ST10 structure deck, the 3 captain structure deck now has a leader that is banned. And because when they release the errata leaders, it's technically, like we've already seen with Sakazuki, it's technically not the same leader because it doesn't have the same code. So Sakazuki, the original leader, is actually banned, and they just created a new Sakazuki leader that is the functional quote unquote reprint or errata for that leader.
Mhm.
But we all know that leader will probably never get unbanned, and this is its so-called replacement. So that's my only thought process, is that they wouldn't want to invalidate a product that they have out there, just because that deck was straight up created to, hey, new players can pick up this deck and they can immediately compete against other players. But if you take away one of the leaders entirely, that kind of defeats the purpose of the deck.
Although, what is it? The first black structure deck has Great Eruption, which is banned, right? So they did kind of already do that in a sense, right? They did already. You can't buy the black structure deck and play it out of boxes. You have 2 cards in it that are banned, right?
That's true enough. That's true enough as well. I don't know what it is about my thought process that, like, it would just feel like getting rid of the leader is a much bigger extreme, like,
It is an extreme. I agree.
than getting rid of a card. And I think that's the only like place where I'm like kind of like fighting in my head that they would ban the leader, because getting a structure deck and one of the leaders is entirely unplayable is totally different from getting a deck and then one of a 2 of in the deck is entirely unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
Like of a single card that you could probably just like easily replace with something else, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, they've already technically like created a replacement card that's like
Way better.
somewhat like better. Depending on the deck that you're playing, it's basically better.
Could you imagine Rob Lucci with Great Eruption and Tempest Kick?
Oh no.
Yeah, no. We don't imagine. Yeah, we don't imagine that.
I imagine it
Okay,
every
so-
day.
No,
Okay.
please.
There's no feasible option for a ban list because, okay, one, you can't necessarily ban the leader without, like Richard saying, invalidating a product, or any other hitting of any card would still allow the deck to be able to be meta viable, because there's a lot of good card pools for targets for Red Purple Law. You would have to hit multiple cards. Would you say a feasible option would be to do what we did during Whitebeard format and temporarily limit? Okay, well, granted, we didn't know it was a temporary limit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if we
yeah.
were to say a temporary limit was like is an option on the table, where said cards like Pudding, OPO8 Pudding, Black Maria, and and Kid Killer, maybe like a limited card set, and or not be able to be used for a specific format until a proper like tweaking has been adjusted.
Or until like a proper counter has been made.
Yeah.
So an emergency ban list.
Yeah.
Looking
like
at
an
you,
emergency ban list.
looking at you, buddy, freaking Blackbeard over there. That definitely feels like the law counter.
Oh yeah.
So
We can talk about that too.
I-
I do have that on the list, and like stuff to talk about OPO9, but
Yeah.
like, on the topic of the ban list, right? It's a very uneasy balance, right? Because if you ban a certain card, then a lot of other decks, not just RP Law, are gonna get hit, right? If you ban Black Maria,
Mhm.
King, Kaido, fucking, I guess, Pudding, Opioid Pudding.
Any
would be
purple
bad.
any purple deck has been running it. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically making 2 leaders out of OPO8 unplayable already, right? If that
Yeah.
happens in the West.
Yeah.
But if you ban the leader, like you said, it's going to invalidate a whole product, and well, it keeps the other upcoming product, right, relevant, but it does invalidate SC10. So it's a very uneasy, balance that
balancing, yeah.
we'll see
Yeah,
how
for sure.
Bandai approaches it, right? I'm kind of excited to see what happens. If they ban Gecko Moria outright, how many decks are going to get hit by that, right? Obviously, Rob Lucci is going to get hit.
BY
Black
Luffy.
Yellow Luffy, yeah. Black Yellow Luffy is going
Black
to,
Yellow
like,
Luffy.
fucking
Gecko
plummet.
Moria.
Gecko Moria.
Oh,
Literally
yeah.
every single meta black deck would fall to shambles, no pun intended, after getting Gecko Moria banned. Like it would drastically shift the meta towards an aggressive style format where your goal is going to be, I'm going to beat you down before you beat me down, meta, which we already had. You know what I mean? Like with all the Whitebeard metas that we went through.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
remember. Gosh.
like
Went
I
through-
I genuinely believe that like the the meta black decks are keeping RP law in check, and unfortunately, I think that Black Maria and Pudding are going to take that deck to the next level. Like it is tier 1.5 right now, because I do think it lacks consistency. But it is super explosive. Like its power is like insanely explosive, and it feels very oppressive. Like once you're on the back foot against that deck, like it is very hard to catch up
Oh yeah.
when you're on the back.
Yeah.
So like Black Maria and Pudding allowing you to not just gain the lead, but maintain it with minimal investment due to your leader ability, and Pudding being able to instantly reset one of those Dawn by itself is like super super strong, and that's the main reason why I don't see Gecko Moria getting hit. And honestly, as much as I think that like RP Law is a fucking menace in OPO8, I just don't think you should ban leaders. Like banning leaders is very boring, and when you set that precedent, you're going to keep getting more and more people calling for bans on leaders as opposed to learning the matchup, two, just understanding the game at a higher level. They would just rather believe that if they complain enough, that Bandai will listen to them.
Yeah.
And I think that is a terrible precedent to set for the game. You know what I mean? Because there are tons of people that enjoy playing against the deck. I don't know who, but I'm sure there are some people that are like,
Some
yeah,
masochists.
I like playing against RP Law. I doubt it. I doubt there's anyone out there like
Yeah.
that. But like,
Yeah.
like the main appeal of One Piece is that it's a huge IP, and you get to actually play as your like favorite characters. Use your favorite characters as a leader. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's definitely one of the main appeals for it. And so once you start banning leaders, you start to lose that appeal, because it's like, well, I can't play my favorite character because they're banned. They're too good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would hate to hear that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody's favorite character is Sakazuki, all right? That leader can stay banned. He can stay banned. He's no one's favorite character.
No.
So that's like the only one I'm like, yeah, screw Sakazuki. That leader's broken. Like genuinely
Yeah.
The
broken.
leader is broken.
Yeah, the card design on that leader was like definitely, I feel like they just didn't think that through enough. Being able to cycle a card for free every turn in a deck where you care about your graveyard and you want to put cards in there is so incredibly powerful, and then basically getting a -1 for free every turn is so insane. You know, it's like there's definitely the thought process of like Rob Lucci arguably gets to -1 for free as well, but it's like, although the mill is beneficial to your deck,
It could also hurt you.
it could also hurt you. Yeah.
Every
It's
time
not
I
like you're
mill
getting-
two Gecko Moras,
It's
dude.
not like you're getting
Gecko
it's not
Moria
like
stage.
you're getting- essentially, like with Sakazuki, your leader, you could think of your leader ability as saying, when if you compare it to Rob Lucci, it's essentially like when attacking, discard one card, draw one card, and then -1 something, which is, in comparison to Lucci, leagues above more powerful, because
Yeah, because you
cycling a
get to
card from your
script it
hand is,
perfectly.
yeah, cycling a card from your hand is much more powerful than just milling two at random.
Yeah. It's like,
Exactly.
oh, I have
I mean,
this.
look at Nami.
Yeah, exactly. Rob Nami, dude.
Like,
Holy
It's
shit.
like, oh, I have this brick in my hand that I don't care about right now. How do I get it out of my hand? Oh, damn. The only way I can do it is to play a Sabo, or play this other card that'll ditch it from my hand. And it's like, no, bro, Sakazuki just had it as easy as saying, you know what? I'm just going to discard it and draw a new card.
Dude, that's every time.
Sakazuki, every time I look at it, I'm like, this is like an OPO10 leader that somebody accidentally put into OPO5. Like, look at Sakazuki compared to every single other OPO5 leader, and I feel like the only one that can like match its level of like, or I guess we had the rock paper scissors meta a little bit, like NL, Purple Luffy, and like Sokka. For a little bit until
Yeah.
people finally figured out exactly what to play in Sokka to make it consistently good, no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they cracked that, but good on them, I guess. They got the leader banned. they've cracked the code on banning leaders. That's for sure.
Speaking of banning leaders,
Dude. All right. We put more 6 cost rush Lucci
Yeah.
into OPS 7 Lucci, and then he'll get banned.
Flying sevens.
Seven.
play
Anyway.
faster, play faster.
For sure. I think.
But yeah,
I'm excited to see what the ban list is gonna hold. You know, it's it'll.
if you look at the other 3 leaders of OPO5, tell me that they're anywhere near in power as Sakazuki. Like
Yeah.
Red Black Salvo, Rosinante,
Oh yeah. No.
and I don't even remember the other one.
Fucking.
Wait,
The last one.
wait.
Yeah.
Yep, we had
Whoa, they were all
Rosinantes.
Oh, it's Bella Betty.
Yeah, Bell Betty. Fuck.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Bello Betty. Wow.
Dude, it's power gripped by 1 leader in the set. Jesus.
yeah. All the other leaders like pale in comparison to Sakazuki.
It's
Like once they crack the code.
Last time I went to Brute Force for a local, what is it? Someone came up to me and they're like, dude, I feel like I'm in OPO3. I lost to Whitebeard and then I lost to Kuro. And I'm like, who the fuck's Kuro? Like, what?
That's how far we've advanced in terms of like
Yeah.
leader strength. Like, what the fuck does Kuro do? He can restand himself as many times as he has East Blue characters, basically.
Man.
Like that's how, like that's a weak ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for OPO3 pre-release, Kuro was the best leader. Actually, actually the best leader because there was like 50,000 East Blue cards that weren't blue or that weren't green for some
Yeah,
reason.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you're just like restand, pay 3 restand. You have 1 card in hand. Pay 3 restand. You're dead. That's crazy.
Yeah. It was, yeah, during pre-release that leader was really, really sick. But everywhere else it's like super mid.
So who is? Can you expose this person? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I need to know. Maybe they can watch this episode. No, I'm just kidding. But no, like I've lost to that deck. I can't lie.
Yeah. We've all been
Yeah.
caught by a rogue deck sometimes, here and there. You know.
Exactly.
Now,
Whitebeard is just a powerful deck.
Oh,
I can't
yeah,
even
dude,
blame
holy
anybody
shit.
for losing. Dude, chaining
Yeah.
9 beards back to back. That's a concept. That's crazy work. It's insane work. I've beaten many a Sakazuki by just being like, oh, you cleared 1 Whitebeard. How about the second one? All right, how about the third one? And they're like, nope, you got me there.
You got me on that third one, boy.
all right. So, any thoughts on OPO9? You know, with all the reveals that have been going on, all the leaders are revealed, obviously, but
I'm playing Shanks.
Shank looks.
See,
I
the leads,
am.
except for
I
Lewis,
am
dude.
going to. I'm definitely gonna play the new Luffy. I gotta.
Oh wait, yeah, no, never mind.
Black
gotta.
Purple is pretty funny.
I'm not gonna lie. So I saw a post talking about that leader, and they were mentioning his Dawn ×1 ability that all your characters get +1, get +1 cost, and somebody was like, "That's the most useless ability I've ever seen," and I'm like, "Bro, do you know how awesome that ability is for purple? Do you know how amazing that ability is for purple? The deck that normally gets its ass destroyed by like black strategies just because they destroy like every guy that you play. It's like you're playing like one big guy a turn and they're just like, you know what? I'm gonna remove it with ease. It's gonna get if you swarm the board or if you decide to play like one big guy after playing like a smaller guy, that +1 cost to multiple characters is going to be the most annoying thing ever.
It will.
I have been on the end of trying to remove characters playing black. I've been on the end of playing certain cards against as playing just blue. Adding 1 extra cost to all of your characters is actually an insanely strong ability.
Stage is mandatory.
I think people are underestimating that a lot. I think people are super underestimating that, and I think that ability is going to come in clutch a lot. And I think that deck, I genuinely think that deck has the power to be like one of the top decks of that format. I think Black Purple finally got the leader that it needed. I'm sorry, King. I'm sorry, King. It's just like not there. It's not. It was not good enough.
No.
They were
Sorry,
literally
Z.
like,
Sorry,
they were literally
King.
like, damn. Hey, you know that black purple leader that we got last set? No, no, no. This one's better.
Power creep him.
Power creep.
Yeah, they're like, hold up. Give me a better one. Give me a better one. Now
Well,
this one doesn't have to do anything with minusing, but like, I'm gonna be
It
honest.
doesn't need to. It
It doesn't
doesn't.
need to. This ability is so strong. Just the leader's ability to, if you lose 2 Dawn, you gain 1 back active and 1 rested, is insanely powerful. Playing with an extra Dawn every single turn is one of the most powerful things in the game, as we've seen with Red Purple Law. There's a lot of times where they have Kid, or if they in OPO8, they're gonna have Pudding, and playing with an extra Dawn on your turn is one of the most powerful things that you can do in this game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Having an extra Dawn at your disposal is so huge. Getting that extra 1K on a swing takes a 2K out of their hand, maybe takes an extra card out of their hand, makes annoying swings at characters, lets you swing over some of the 6K blockers in the meta right now. It's gonna be real. I think that deck is gonna be really good. I think so.
Yeah, I feel like Blackbeard is gonna be a contender for sure.
Oh yeah.
Because we've seen a lot of Blackbeard's cards and support, his 10-drop, right, which seems pretty insane. Like, I don't know, just Blackbeard himself is just gonna be shifting the meta so much because it's gonna be such a complicated deck to play in the sense of I need to learn all my matchups against every single deck. What plays do they have that I need to stop at this turn, right? But it's gonna completely invalidate decks like Enel. It's gonna completely invalidate other black decks. It's gonna completely invalidate anything that relies heavily on plays. Red Purple Law too, right? It has a shit ton of plays.
Nice rage, you loser.
Yeah,
Draw what?
unfortunately, Rage just gets murdered by that deck. But I'm gonna be honest. I think I like Blackbeard from a game design standpoint as much as people are like, "Oh my God, this leader is so broken." It's like, it's the most powerful thing. It's gonna stop so many decks. This literally invalidates so many decks. I think it's a deck that creates for more creative deck building, where you live in a world where Blackbeard exists. You definitely want to fill your deck with more cards that aren't just the most broken on play effects. People might start playing big vanillas to combat that deck. People might start playing more cards that just have decent activate main effects that might be a little worse than some of the really good on plays in the meta, but specifically playing those cards just to play around that ability. If the deck is as prevalent as we think it's going to be. If it's one of the most prevalent decks in the format, because although on one hand some people might think it's very simple to play, I think that deck is also going to take a lot of skill.
Oh yeah,
because
sure.
I think that deck requires you to have knowledge of every single matchup in the entire game. Because you sit down to play against any deck, and choosing when to discard a card to disable your opponent's on play effects is something that you will have to learn to do, and not just shotgun it every turn. Because if you start doing that every single turn, you're going to lose the game.
Yeah, for sure. It requires
You're
a certain
gonna run
type
out
of
of cards.
discipline to really know when do I discard this card, right? When do I negate effects?
His ability's not free.
I do want to talk
I
about.
thought we were in OPO9 at OPO1. Ugh. Costs on abilities.
Yeah, I do want to talk about Shanks though, because at first, the leader ability, just minus 1,000.
Underwhelming.
It felt underwhelming, but you see the rest of the support that he has, and it's wait,
Dude, his stage.
Almost all these cards give minus something, and it's just wait, that's kind of insane. And then you see it. You're seeing it right now in OPO8 in the East, right, with the new structure decks that came out. OPO8 Marco got a really nice boost, and it has a really good emphasis on, removal with minusing strength, right? Because we kind of saw that with OPO1, OPO2, Zoro, and I guess maybe RP. No, not RP Law really, but red decks use I remember Otama jet pistol on an 8-drop kid, right? Or
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah.
the good old days.
Nice
Yeah,
9
yeah,
down play. Here's a fiver. Here's a 5 down play that'll ruin your day.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's like,
I think
yeah, go ahead.
Please.
I think
enlighten
going
us.
back to what Richard was saying is that it does allow Blackbeard does allow for a design space to put emphasis on not playing on play good cards and staples, but be able to reintroduce keyword skills like on KO, and obviously activate mains, but like other cards that just get value from being on board or just having big stat lines. Like I think that
Yeah.
definitely goes in tandem with allowing the player to, if they just Ooga Booga Blackbeard, to be able to just like get completely countered by getting beat down by like
Mm-hmm.
good stat line vanillas. And also
Mhm.
going back to Alexis saying that Marco getting a boost, like even I believe with the boost of the starter decks too, and into OPO9 once we get Whitebeard, that'll switch to there'll be a meta shift for not only Marco but other decks to be able to experiment more with removal that's more event based,
Mm-hmm.
because you want to
Yeah.
be able to tempo with just draw with like other cards, and you want to see these cards, but it's like if we're not going to get on play characters, why not just get activate or just our mains on the events?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be a good way to play around those the turns where your opponent uses the Blackbeard ability. And I hadn't even thought about it much just because I was mostly focused on ways to counter it, but I hadn't thought about how that would that ability forces everybody to think that way. I thought I was just being a nerd and just being like, how do I beat Blackbeard then? Like with every single color. It's like everybody
Yeah.
has to do that now. And like
I
that
think
is a
that
really good point to bring up.
yeah, 100%. I just to add on that, yeah, I think and I think I love that about the deck. Like so many people are hating on it right now and they think that it's bad for the game. I think it's such a good thing for the game.
Yeah, for sure.
I just think stopping people from just throwing in basically like again, like every black deck right now plays Gecko Moria because
Mm-hmm.
it's the black good stuff.
Yeah.
It's black good stuff. Basically, like every deck plays Rebecca. Every deck, all the good decks are playing Rebecca. They're playing Gecko Moria. They're playing
Helmeppo.
whatever
Sabo.
because all
Yeah.
of those cards are just so inherently powerful that if your
Where's my
deck
Tendril
doesn't have
Cruzon? I
them,
love
what are
Tendril
you
Cruzon.
doing, moron?
Isho.
Yeah, it's just like I think that Blackbeard puts everyone in a position where your entire deck cannot just be that anymore. Because if your entire deck is that, then you're just getting countered by that leader's ability,
Would
Yeah.
you
and
would you
you're gonna feel the effects of that.
would you go out on a limb and say that because Blackbeard is coming out, that Bandai wouldn't ban Moria because of that,
Ooh.
and or
Um,
limit?
you know
I feel
what?
like that's one of the reasons why they wouldn't.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
granted, like we got a reprint in the premium, the
Yeah, the
best
premium
premium
booster.
Good argument. That's true.
You know,
That's
Yeah,
true.
so would you argue that they would not ban and or limit Gecko because then on play good stuff gets totally blown out, and then you have to be put into that said design space where you have to think about whether or not do I hold it build around these brick cards now and hope that they don't play on curve or see the cards in hand so I can do this, or do I build off curve and build cards that allow me to facilitate not only the tech picks to be able to counter the deck, but also for me to be able to be used viably competitive in like other deck formats.
Yeah. So I think you could be onto something on that point where I definitely think they could just choose uh not to ban Moria strictly because of that reasoning because uh Blackbeard coming out does technically, like we've been saying, I guess eliminate decks from wanting to play four ofs of every single card that's just so powerful because of its on play because of Blackbeard. I do think that's a great argument for saying that Gecko Moria won't get banned. And, the premium booster 01 reprint with the new alt art and everything like that, it definitely makes it feel like the card's not getting banned at all, or it's not getting limited at least.
mhm.
We also haven't really seen anything about like semi-limits in this game. Like we haven't seen cards go to 2
Ooh.
or like 3 or anything like that. so I don't know if they'd
True.
ever do that.
It's
I know,
one
like-
or none.
Yeah, yeah,
One or none, yeah.
which is
One or
really
none.
odd.
Semi-limit.
It's extremely odd to me coming from a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, where like they had, I mean, you have 3 as your max, but then like 2 is your semi-limit, and then 1 is your limit. I would think that with a game like this, you should be allowed to put cards down to 2. Taking away half of a card or half of your 4 of stack is extremely huge, and then limiting the card to 1 is still extremely huge. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I still think it's possible that they hit Gecko Moria only because only because I think even with Blackbeard running around, I think it's still worth it to run for Gecko Moria strictly because you're not always gonna run into Blackbeard, but I think you expand the rest of your deck to still have decent cards that don't just have great on plays, but also have good other effects or just large vanilla bodies. And I think playing Gecko Moria is still something that black decks will do at 4, if it's at 4. Because playing every other matchup besides Blackbeard is like, if you find that card, you could just win.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Back-to-back
Yeah.
Gecko 500 Gecko Morias, right?
500 Gecko Morias.
Also, let's not forget about one of the most powerful cards coming out next set in Jack.
Yeah, that's
Oh
I
my
was gonna
God.
say like Jack, 9-drop
Oh my
Kaido for
God.
black.
They did
That's
not
wrong.
learn their lesson. They literally banned Sakazuki, and they're like, "What if we put it on a card you could play 4 of, and it's 11
And remove
cost?
the-
So
It's 11 cost on field.
it's 11 cost, and it's
down.
essentially a leader at that point."
As if they anything 7 and down or 7 and down is gonna get KO'd because you're gonna assume that they're gonna have stage and Lucci leader effect. Dude,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like literally how many boss monsters in the game are not necessarily invalidated, but more so just turns wasted
Within
just because you're
range.
dropping it. Yeah,
Too
it's
many.
Yeah.
crazy.
Too many. Ice Age you're gonna play Ice Age at 3 because if you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
need it, you can cycle it out with Jack. You're gonna
You gonna play
play
Stage at
Epistick
4?
at 4. You're gonna play Stage at 4.
My stage at 2 days
3
are
at
over.
least. Yeah, like it's gonna be crazy work, and like I honestly think that like we've been talking about, like diversifying your deck's flexibility by adding in cards to counter in Blackbeard or to counter against Blackbeard is going to be super easy because you just be like, oh, I don't need it in this matchup. I'll just filter it with Jack. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Free, you know? Or if it's a vanilla, you're like, I'll just keep this in my hand because it's counter. Like, you know? So like there's so many options, and I have a huge gripe with Jack because they printed, this is also going back to the new starters, right? They printed 7 cost Newgate, and they had the audacity
yeah.
to be like, well, this one doesn't filter, but it gives your leader Arrested Dawn? Question mark? I'm like, what? Screw you, man. This card
Like,
sucks.
Yeah.
It
It's
KOs
still
a
good, but in
5k.
comparison to Jack, it's like
It's lackluster. Why would it like you gave red a top end card that like barely supports either of red's strategy, like that doesn't even support red's main strategy, which is I'm going to aggro you until you die, you know?
Mhm.
It's that card is specifically for Marco.
Yeah.
And
no,
like
definitely.
as much as I love Marco, because I'm gonna play the shit out of Marco.
Oh yeah.
Trust and believe. Like trust and believe that. But like I am just so annoyed that like they're like, yeah, I guess it just KOs 5Ks. That's it. And gives you the leader 1 Dawn. I'm like, are we sure? You guys want to throw a little more spice on there, you know? Maybe +1 to your Whitebeard characters? Thoughts?
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh well. All right. Well, we're over an hour now, so. Closing remarks. I guess we're just excited for the future, right? We'll see how we do for regionals. We'll see what the balance is going to be. We'll talk about it afterwards. Overall, though, for me, thank you guys for chilling out, talking.
Of course.
And thank you for anyone who's
Anytime.
listening, right? And we will see you all later. Take care, y'all.
Take care.
Take care.